This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
As the Brandon Aiyuk saga continues to churn in San Francisco, we also have an actual game tomorrow. We'll give you at least three things to watch in 49ers Titans on Saturday on this episode of the Gold Diggers podcast, brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Gold Diggers podcast on the Gold Standard and the Fans First Sports Networks. I am Rob Stats Guerrera. She is Michelle Majuk. Michelle, I can't believe I'm saying these words to you out loud. 49ers are going to play football tomorrow.
Woo! Without like any other starters, which stinks.
All right.
But it is going to be exciting. I'm excited. My Steelers play tonight against the Texans. I'm excited to see them. Football's back, baby.
Well, are your Steelers going to be wearing number 11 jerseys?
I would just like to say, John Lynch, you are the reason I drink. This sip is for you.
I actually don't think it's a John Lynch and a 49ers problem with Brandon Aiyuk. After listening to TJ Houshmandzadeh on the radio yesterday with 95.7 The Game, which for those who don't know, TJ Houshmandzadeh is Brandon Aiyuk's personal wide receivers coach. He was on the radio last night. I listened to it. The best chunks are in 49ers in 5, which you can go and check out. Not now. This is our time. But I heard the interview and I was like, I don't think this is a John Lynch or a Kyle Shanahan issue. I think it's a Jed York issue, to be honest with you. First of all, let's listen to the what TJ said. We'll talk about it, and then I can explain myself. First, TJ Houshmandzadeh, what is the main holdup here?
If you can get more than 32 from one team and the least amount that any other team is offering you is still more than your team, it's like, come on, guys. Like, come on, man. Just be fair with me. That's all he wants.
Okay. That sounds reasonable, right? Every other offer is higher than what the 49ers offered so far. Okay. So, TJ, what is reasonable?
Just come back together and find something that works. Like 28. You wouldn't give him $28 million a year, but you'd give him 26. Like, over the course of 3 years, that's $6 million. Like, in the world of football and the grant, that's nothing. That's nothing.
He's not wrong, Michelle.
Also, did you watch the first episode of Hard Knocks?
The Giants or the Bears?
The Bears.
No.
So, spoiler alert for those who haven't watched. I mean, I don't think this is going to destroy anybody's world here. DJ Moore gets a contract extension. They show that, and it's just like he has 2 years left on his contract. He's not, not even really like bugging them about or anything. He's practicing, and his agent's talking to Ryan Poles, the Bears GM, and they're just like, you know what? He came here. He's done everything we wanted him to do. He's produced. He deserves this extension. We want to get it done now. We want to lock him up. We want to make sure he's here for the long haul. They give him the $27.5 million per year, which they get also, like, that's a discount at this point, especially with what wide receiver has gotten lately. But it's because they're giving it to him 2 years before his contract expires. Shocking when teams just pay the guys that they think are deserving early so they don't get themselves in this situation. But it was so refreshing to see this. But that's what the 49ers have put themselves into. Imagine if they would have just paid Aiyuk before he broke out.
Diego Figueroa, YouTube channel member, shout out to all our YouTube channel members, says, Michelle, tell your Steelers to back off.
It's so infuriating. I don't even care anymore. I was refreshing every 5 seconds on Twitter for it wasn't even yesterday, because yesterday I got over it. It was the day before and the day before that. It was just waiting, and every second it's it's done. The Steelers have it. And at this point, it is hard not to be excited about Brandon Aiyuk coming to the Steelers. I really want him for Brock Purdy and the 49ers, and it is going to be hard for him to leave there. I want him to stay on the 49ers, but also the Steelers fan of me also wants him on my team. But it just figure it out. What is happening?
Shout out to Cynthia, YouTube channel member, says, hi, Rob and Michelle. And she puts the champagne and the mimosa glasses in there. That's someone that watches all the time. Thank you very much, Cynthia. This is why I don't think it's a 49ers issue, because if it was just the $2 million a year, I think they would have done it. I think the issue is Jed York, because I think Jed York has a certain amount of guaranteed money that he wants to put aside, and he's not budging off of that. And for anyone that doesn't know, when you sign these contracts, the NFL has a rule where you have to take some of the guaranteed money. I don't even think it's all of it nowadays, but you have to take some of the guaranteed money and you have to put it in escrow, which means literally if you guarantee someone $30 million on a contract, you have to take at least a chunk of that and put it in a bank account somewhere. Like you need 30 million liquid dollars and you need to put it aside. And I think Jed York and Tim Kawakami has hinted at this. I think Jed says, this is what I'm willing to pay and I'm not doing any more. And I think that's the actual holdup. It's not whether they can inflate the contract to get the average annual value up to $28 million a year, because if that was it, they could easily find a way to do it.
And what are your thoughts on that? If your owner, is it because he can't afford it? Because that's when it starts to get, no, but literally there are some owners who aren't as rich as other owners. And that's a big reason why, the Raiders and the Bengals, like maybe they're cheap, maybe they do have it, but it does seem like there's different levels of being filthy rich, right? There's a difference between being a multi-billionaire and just being a multi-million. I mean, all these guys are
billionaire.
Yeah. I mean, but like there are some guys who aren't as rich as others. And does that scare you that maybe right now the 49ers, Jed York isn't as comfortable with his financials as some other owners who are willing to pay Aiyuk what he deserves?
No, Jed York has the money. The 49ers are making money hand over fist. I think this is the Yorks, as they have been.
I don't know what his problems are on the side. Maybe he has some issues.
Even if he's only a not a multi-billionaire, just a $1 billionaire, like $30 million or $40 million is nothing. Like, do people realize 1 million seconds is 11 days? 1 billion seconds is 31 years. That's how much more a billion is than a million. So I don't want to hear anything.
Well, my favorite thing is like if someone's like, well, what's the difference between a billionaire and a millionaire? And it's $1 billion. It's about $1 billion. That's the difference. That's the difference between a billionaire and a millionaire.
Yeah. So I don't want to hear it from Jed York. And look, I know he's paid out a lot of contracts. Great. That's what every owner should do. Okay. That's your only job. So I'm not throwing any flowers at Jed York. I really do think that is the holdup. In the interview, TJ Houshmandzadeh said multiple times that Brandon Aiyuk wants to be on the 49ers. They literally asked him, TJ, is this still fixable? Would he still prefer to be on the 49ers as opposed to anyone else?
I don't know, but I bet he'd rather be a Niner. I mean, there's going to be hurt feelings on both sides. Like when stuff like this, it's like arguing with your wife or your girlfriend and stuff. When I'm mad, I may say some things that I don't mean. I may mean them, but I really don't mean them. I'm just saying them to make you mad. And so I'm sure there's been some things said both ways that may upset both parties. But I told him this, like, if I got to pick, I'm staying with the Niners. Why wouldn't you?
And we know he's turned down more money. He turned down arguably $32 million a year if he agreed to that Patriot trade. That's what they were going to pay him. So it's not just all about money. I really think he wants to be in San Francisco.
I want to just hit on what he's saying with your wife. Like, that gives me the ick. Learn how to fight like an adult and don't say mean things to your wife that you don't mean. Like, I don't ever say anything I don't mean. Like, don't be like that. Just learn to be an adult and have a normal conversation.
Right.
You're going to fight, but gross. TJ gave me the ick. But also, why, if you're Aiyuk, why would you not want to be on the 49ers? If they're willing to if they're willing to even get close to what the Steelers are willing to pay him, come on. The 49ers are a much better team right now than the Steelers. You're also get to play in the NFC. I feel like that's being thrown out here too. Everyone's just like, oh, the Steelers have no shot to win. Well, it's also because they're in the AFC. I mean, let's not forget the Steelers are a good franchise. Like we're acting like they're a poverty franchise here. They're a good franchise. It's just they're stuck in a really, really hard conference. But also if you're Aiyuk, why would you not want to be with the best team in your soft, weak conference?
in a system you already know, surrounded by playmakers with a good defense. Yeah, like it makes all the sense in the world. Nick Ellert, YouTube channel member, says, Michelle, tell your Steelers to be real and give up a lesser player like Freiermuth. Steelers really won't give him up for Aiyuk, LOL.
The issue is they're still going to want the first round pick. So like that. So I heard yesterday, Levin be like, Steeler fans are so delusional, which is funny because I think 49ers fans are delusional, but like, no, it's not about saying we wouldn't do George Pickens for Aiyuk straight up. Like, yeah, the point is we're not going to give a first and Pickens for Aiyuk. Like the difference between the two, plus paying Aiyuk $30 million more than Pickett, like that just wouldn't make any sense. The whole point of this trade is because they need 2 wide receivers. They don't have a second wide receiver. So like that it would completely cancel out any point of this trade. So this like when you're thinking about trade offers, say, would this make sense for both teams? And that's why I'm saying, like, I really don't know what the Steelers can offer the 49ers, because this is the issue. The Steelers either have elite players or they have garbage. Like they don't have a lot of middling players to offer here with picks. So I really don't know how this deal gets done. If right now with where you stand, what do you think happens?
I think if the deal was going to get done with the Steelers, it would be done by now, because like I said yesterday, their roster's not changing. This is who they have. They've offered what they're willing to offer, and the 49ers don't want it. So I don't.
This does kind of remind me of, though, even though I'm sure Aaron Rodgers had a no trade clause, so it is different. But when Aaron Rodgers, I mean, it was well known he was going to get traded to the Jets. It was like, but we had to wait weeks for this trade to go down because the Jets and the Packers could not agree on the compensation. But the Jets were like, well, he wants to come here. We already have this all figured out. Like, we'll just wait for you to finally give up and just do it. And then I'm sure the Jets budged a little bit, gave a little bit something extra, but that went on for weeks. And then finally the trade went through. It's a different situation. Rodgers is a quarterback. They had Jordan Love that they're ready to start. Like, it was a completely different situation, and Rodgers had more leverage, but it did take weeks to figure out that trade. And we all knew he was going there.
Yeah, I think it's a little different with a quarterback. Like, you're less like, if you're the Jets, you're not going to give up until you get the quarterback. Like, you're not, the Jets rearrange their whole organization for Aaron Rodgers. You're not doing that if you're for Brandon Aiyuk. Like, you're just not. Plus, I think the 49ers are more stubborn, to be honest with you. I think the 49ers are more like, we are not giving this guy away. So we're going to sit here and wait. I mean, it's great.
I'm shocked that what I really believe why he wants to just stay with the 49ers is because he's not even considering the Browns. I think this trade actually would have already been done if he would have chosen the Browns.
Well, yeah, because they agree.
Because they would have got, like, they would have actually got the player back. They would have gotten a pick. Like, it seems like they were ready to do that. He would have got paid there. I'm shocked he's so willing to go to Pittsburgh, but not to Cleveland. I mean, I guess, like, for how long the Browns have been an embarrassment franchise. But like right now with where they're standing, I don't think they're all that different of teams.
Maybe he likes Fields and or Russell Wilson over Deshaun Watson.
I mean, who wouldn't as a person? But
I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know if he grew up. No, he didn't. I don't know. Whatever the reason. Maybe he likes the uniform better. Who the hell knows? Maybe he likes Tomlin.
It is Tomlin, I think.
He does like he was tweeting at him, all that stuff. But so that's the latest with Brandon Aiyuk. I think it's a Jed York issue. I think Jed is skating by on this whole thing, not taking any heat because owners never do. Like, I really don't think if it was $2 million, Niners offer 26, Aiyuk wants 28. Like, no one said, hey, how about 27.5? Like, really? Like, no one, we can't do that. Like, I think it's a Jed issue, to be honest with you. And we'll see how it all shakes out. But I did want to, I wanted to cover that, but I wanted to talk about the preseason game tomorrow because I'm excited about it, man. It's preseason football. It's my team. I haven't seen this team play since they lost the Super Bowl. I want to get that taste out of my mouth. I'm excited about the game tomorrow, Michelle.
Who are you most excited to watch?
Well, we're going to get into all of that in a second. But first, I want to point out, if you want to bet on this game, you can, and you can do it with BetUS. And I know what you're saying. Betting on preseason football, it's crazy. Guess what? The money's still green. It doesn't matter if it's preseason or not. The Niners are actually getting points in the game. They're getting 4.5 points. The over-under is 38.5. I have no idea where I would bet in this game. But if you want to bet, you can do it with BetUS. They're offering 125% deposit match on your first 3 deposits up to $250. $2,000. And look, you're going to bet on football. So why don't use BetUS? They have 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering on all major games. Plus, you get 10% back on your net losses twice a year. So why aren't you using BetUS? I'm guessing I'll take the 49. I'll take the Niners on the money line plus 185. Why the hell not?
It's a coin toss at this point. Yeah, you might as well. And also, like the Titans, yeah, they might be playing their starters for a little bit, and 49ers aren't. But like the Titans starters are probably even worse, still worse than the 49ers backup. So yeah, I'm down. I'm down to take the 49ers plus 185.
100%. Like I said, plus you get the 125% deposit match on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. All right, let's dive into it, Michelle. Number one thing I want to say, you know what I'm going to say. It's Cody Schrader, man. It's Cody Schrader. I figured it out. He's like a bee. Back in the day, we did not understand how bees could fly. We didn't think it was physically possible. We couldn't figure out how to do it. That's where I am with Cody Schrader. In fact, I'm going to call him Cody B. Schrader from now on. I just decided that. He's 5'8". He's 200 pounds, and he ran a 4.61 40-yard dash. Yet, he is awesome as a running back. He led the SEC in rushing last year. This isn't like Trey Lance dominating at North Dakota State. This is the SEC, and he led it in rushing last year. There's one guy in the history of that conference who had 200 rushing yards and 100 receiving yards in the same game, and it's 5'8", 200 pounds, slow as hell, Cody Schrader, and I want to know how the hell he is doing this.
He didn't just lead the SEC either. He led the FBS in rushing yards per game at 125.2 rushing yards per game. I actually have a fun note for you because I know how much you love Cody Schrader, so I just wanted to pull something fun.
Yes.
Over the last 10 years, 20 running backs in the Power 5 have averaged 125 plus rushing yards per game. In a season, they played at least 13 games. I'm going to name 16 of these other 19 because Schrader was one of them, right? 16 of the 19 names. Jonathan Taylor, Chuba Hubbard, J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor, Eno Benjamin, Jonathan Taylor again. Oh, sorry, I did it by season, so he did it twice. Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Derrick Henry, Royce Freeman, Ezekiel Elliott did it again, James Conner, Melvin Gordon, Duke Johnson, and Samaje Perine. That is the majority of those names have done something in the NFL. The only guys on this list that, haven't done anything are David Cobb and Travion Williams. Besides that, everyone else has done. So it doesn't mean they've been amazing, but they have been a solid running back in this league at some point in their career. And the odds are looking like, Cody Schrader could be something, like maybe even just a solid backup.
Right. And I'm not saying like, oh, he's going to be their running back for the next 10 years. No, maybe he's only on the team for 2 to 3 years, but I want to see how the hell this guy is getting it done. I went back in the Dane Brugler draft guide just to let me see what it says about Cody Schrader. And the term they used was R-rated contact. Like, he is not a guy that's out there bobbing and weaving and dodging guys. He's smashing into people. And again, he's 5'8" and 200 pounds. He's 3 inches shorter than me.
He could be like the next Isaiah Pacheco, but
great,
bigger.
And let's be honest, with all the injuries the Niners have at running back right now, like they could use somebody. I want to see him. I think that's
a ton of play. I mean, I know they signed Keyshawn Vaughn and Matt Breida, but you don't need to see those guys. Right. They're just bodies right now. Like, let Schrader play like the majority of the game.
And he averaged 7.1 yards per carry in the fourth quarter. So the dude gets stronger as the game goes on. I can't wait to see him. I've never been this excited to watch a running back in preseason, but yeah, I'm absolutely on the Cody Schrader bandwagon.
I'm so sad Isaac Guerrero is hurt because I would have loved to watch him in the preseason.
Apparently he's getting closer to coming back, which is good. But yeah, he and obviously Ricky Pearsall would have been the two that I would be most excited to see. But Cody Schrader, definitely number one for me.
Can we talk about Ricky Pearsall really quick?
Sure.
What in the world? I mean, how many injuries are you going to have in a month span?
It is crazy because he was not a guy that got hurt in college. He never missed a game in 5 years in college. So it's not like, oh, they drafted a guy like Guerrero, right? He had injury problems. Oh, he gets injured in camp. It's like, oh boy, here we go. Pearsall wasn't that. So that's the kind of surprising thing there is he doesn't have a history of this.
Hamstring and now the back-to-back shoulders. Good Lord, that's not a great start.
No, definitely not ideal, especially with all this Aiyuk stuff swirling. Next up, I mean, for me, it's Dominic Pooney. Like, hell yeah. And I know he's a guard, but like, I'm still pumped to see it. Chris Forster, the offensive line coach this week, was like, he needs reps. I want to see him get reps, and I think he's going to get reps. If he has a good game, he could lock down that damn starting job right now.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts about him being listed as the third right guard on the initial depth chart?
No thoughts. I could care less about that. Most of the time, the communications guys are the ones that put together the depth chart. And it doesn't matter if he's third because Spencer Burford's hurt and John Feliciano's been banged up. So even if he's third, he might be first by default.
So you're just gonna like be eyeing in on the offensive line and Pooney.
Well, here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping Cody Schrader kicks ass running the ball, and then they're like, and look at this block from Dominic Pooney, and then I get the chance to see it.
I'm way more interested in the pass blocking though. Like,
yeah,
I want to see how he does there.
I should mention with Schrader too. Like, I don't expect him to rip off a bunch of like 15, 20-yard runs. I just expect him to just consistently, if he can gain 4 to 5 yards and just do it like that, like that's all I'm hoping for with him. I don't think he's going to like start, ripping up the NFL. But anyway, yeah. So I'm hoping Schrader does well, and that puts the focus on the offensive line. Those are the two together.
So what wide receivers do you think are going to play? Like, will Jacob Cowing play? He just got back from a hamstring injury. Will they throw him out there? I hope so.
I hope so. He was one of the guys on my list, because if we can't see Pearsall, damn it, then let me see Jacob Cowing. I want to see if he's as fast as his 40 time, because, some guys have a good 40 time, but they don't play that fast. I want to see if Jacob Cowing plays. Supposedly, Danny Gray played that fast. Now, we've never actually gotten to friggin' see it because that guy is always hurt. But supposedly he played that fast. That's why I was excited about him at the time. I don't know if Jacob Cowing does. I've heard in camp he looks pretty fast, so that's a good sign.
So what I love about I love teams taking productive players in college late. Like they're dropping, but they were so productive in college. Like something has to be there. You can, especially if you play for a Power 5 school, or you just play in the FBS, and it's not like the FCS where you're like, okay, maybe they're only doing great because they're playing against low competition. But over the last 3 seasons in the FBS, it was Jacob Cowing who led the FBS in receiving yards. Right behind him was Rome Odunze and Malik Neighbors, both top 10 overall drafted guys. They played the same amount of games. Malik Neighbors and him played the same amount of games, and Cowing had more receiving yards. Cowing had more receiving touchdowns than Malik Neighbors, who I love, by the way. So excited to watch him play this year. But I'm not saying Cowing's going to be as good as Odunze or Neighbors. He doesn't have the same skills as them or traits, but he was productive. He got it done. There's something there. And I'm really I'm really excited to watch him. I hope he plays tonight.
Tomorrow.
Yes, sorry.
Andre Garibay, YouTube channel member, says these rookies need to play. Playing guys like Trent Taylor and Robbie Anderson, 2 guys who have 0 chance to make the team, doesn't do anything for us. I completely agree.
Like last night, the Patriots playing Bailey Zappi for like literally the whole game when he's not even supposed to make the team. And they gave Drake May 1 series where he got off 2 little screen passes, and they're like, that's good. And then you're playing Bailey's, like, what? You're wasting the opportunities. Even if you wanted to go to Joe Milton, he only got the last 2 series and he looked pretty solid. I mean, he was going up against third string. Yeah, but why wouldn't you get, like, what are they like? If the coaches don't take preseason games seriously, how in the world are we supposed to take? If you're saying this game is so pointless, we're going to play a quarterback that's not even going to be on our team this year, what is the point then? What is the point of all this?
I guess it's fear of injury, but to me, it's like,
and don't have preseason at all if you're that scared of guys getting injured.
Right. And the other thing is, like, let's just say for the sake of argument, it takes, and I'm just totally making this up, but go with me. Let's say it takes 200 snaps before a quarterback starts to feel like really comfortable. Why not have some of those snaps come in the preseason, right? Why delay that sort of timetable? To me, I say play it, man. Play them. It's only 3 preseason games, and in the 3rd preseason game, who knows how much they're going to play. Like, I say throw them in there, and I hope the Niners, as many rookies are physically able to play tomorrow, I hope the Niners throw them all in there.
Drake May, he looked terrible, but he got 1 series. Like, you did him dirty. Why even have him dressed at all? Why even put him out there? Because it was terrible, and you're just like, yeah, you know what? We're not going to give you another chance. Like, okay, pointless.
I'm excited to see, like, almost every freaking rookie in this class. Like, even some of the offensive linemen, Drake Nugent and Jared Kingston. Like Forster was talking the other day about how they feel like everything that they saw on film, that they got exactly what they hoped to see. So like, let me just see guys out there that don't look like liabilities. Just don't be a friggin' liability out there to let me have some confidence in you. And let's be honest, we really need this rookie class to hit, because some of the rookie classes in recent years, cough, cough, 2022, cough, cough, 2021, have been a little scarce on playmakers. Drake Jackson just went on the PUP list. His season is done. They have gotten absolutely nothing from Drake Jackson. That whole class, except for Brock Purdy, they basically got nothing.
If they don't hit on Brock Purdy right there, is John Lynch still the GM? Maybe Kyle Shanahan's still the head coach. Is John Lynch still the GM? Because how lucky that they hit on Brock Purdy.
Drake Jackson, Ty Davis Price, who's not even on the team. Danny Gray, I don't even know if Danny Gray's on the team. He has one career catch. Spencer Burford was a starter, sort of, until he got switched out in and out of the lineup every other series. Samuel Womack has like 70 career snaps. Nick Zakel has basically never played. Kalia Davis has basically never played. Tariq Castro Fields is off the team. And then you got Brock Purdy. Like, you want to know why good teams don't stay good? It's because you have draft classes where you get one player out of the draft that contributes in any meaningful way.
And I mean, luckily they got it out of Brock Purdy, but also they skipped on him how many times, right? And then they took him with the very last pick of the draft. So they definitely lucked into him as well. Like, we don't give them credit for taking Brock Purdy. You skipped on him. If you thought he was what he is, you would not have waited till the very last pick of the draft to take him. You would have been sweating it out. So they didn't know what he was either. Obviously, they saw something in him because they used a draft pick on him. But you don't get credit for that. That the same way the Ravens don't get credit for taking Lamar Jackson. Like, you took Hayden Hurst before Lamar Jackson. If you thought Lamar Jackson was the MVP, the future MVP of the league, you would have never, ever, ever taken Hayden Hurst ahead of Lamar Jackson. Like, you don't get credit for that.
They get more credit than the Niners get for Brock Purdy.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see all the rookies play tonight. I'm also excited to see Dee Winters. All we keep hearing about is Dee Winters. He looks really good. Fred Warner's talking him up. Kyle Posey from Niners Nation is talking him up. All these amazing plays he's making in training camp. I want to see it. If he can be, I think it's way more important for him to be successful, because if he can be not just like league average, if he's actually good, that is a massive boost for this defense, because the loss of Dre Greenlaw is significant. If Dee Winters can come in and play well and keep them afloat, then you don't have to rush Dre Greenlaw back. He doesn't have to, fly back from an Achilles to get back in the lineup. It's massively important for this defense for Dee Winters to be good. Supposedly he is, but I want to see it tomorrow.
It's going to be huge, because that whole group right now is so thin. One injury is going to make it incredibly hard to figure out like how to cover the middle of the field. So yeah, Dee Winters is someone I'm definitely looking forward to watching. Jalen Graham, another one. Like, either of these guys step up, it'll be huge. But it definitely does seem like Dee Winters is getting all of the love and praise. So I'll have an eye on him. Like Renardo Green, will he be playing tonight? Because I know Shanahan said most starters won't be playing, but Renardo Green as a rookie should be. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to play. He's another guy that's been getting rave reviews. Debo joked about how all he wants to do is play man coverage. Like, I think this could be the best secondary Shanahan's ever had. So if it is, like, we're going to see some.
They're trying to talk up George Odom, though. That makes me nervous. They're like, he's ready to start, baby, at safety. And it's just like, oh, to me, that means they don't think Malik Mustafa is ready to go yet, which, I mean, he's a 4th-round rookie and it's going to take time. But they're really trying to talk up George Odom. And I know he's gotten some interceptions, but I don't want him starting.
I don't believe in George Odom. They just signed Tracy Walker. He's a safety.
But he's like the worst safety in the league.
Well,
there's a reason.
Justin Simmons is still available, and he's an All-Pro. I don't know what the hell.
He just went and visited the Saints too. Like, what is happening?
I don't understand. And it's like preseason games are underway. Like, nobody wants an All-Pro safety where all you have to give up to get is money. Like,
is he like going into these meetings and just spitting on the GMs and then walking out? Like, what is happening?
Flip-flops and a t-shirt. Like, what's going on? I don't understand it. But yeah, so that's the Niners issue at safety. I want to see Malik Mustafa too. I want to see, like, what does that guy look like in a jersey? Because I've seen him what he looks like out of a jersey, and he looks like a damn friggin' machine. He looks like a Terminator out there. He looks unbelievable. I like to see him get in there. I want to see Robert Beal Jr., another guy that when he was drafted, all they talked about was his GTFO score, how quickly he gets off the snap. You know, he didn't really do much as a rookie.
Well, he also put on 20 pounds this offseason. I don't know if that's going to make him be faster to be able to get to the quarterback.
I don't know either, but I want to see it. And because it's another guy where, like, if he can contribute, again, doesn't have to be like amazing, but if he can contribute, now you've got some solid contributors to go along with Bosa and Leonard Floyd and Javon Hargrave, who supposedly looks better. They're talking up Yetur Gross-Matos. Who the hell knows? But like, if Robert Beal can come in and give you 4 to 5 sacks, yes, like that's a boost to this defense.
I mean, 100%. Now that Drake, I'm surprised. Are you surprised they put Jake Jackson on the IR list to just get him out that entire year?
No, because he had that patellar tendon surgery, and that is a devastating injury. That's what ended Victor Cruz's career. Like it's one of the most difficult surgeries to come back from. He may never come back at all, which is terrible because I think he's still only like 22 years old. He's super young still, but it's just one of those, like, there are certain injuries that are more damaging and that don't happen enough to where we have sort of like improved the surgery to fix it. Like ACL used to be devastating. And now, like, so many of them have happened. We figured out like how to do it. This injury is not like that. So yeah, it sucks for him, but I wasn't surprised.
That really sucks. And that's a huge blow because I thank goodness they added Leonard Floyd. Like, I think that was a huge signing, but they could have really used Drake Jackson to come in sporadically and like been kind of that rotational piece. Now it's looking a lot more thin without that possibility. Someone brought up tight end 2. That'll definitely be something we're watching as well. Can Cameron Latu do anything at all to prove that he should stay on this team, even make the team?
Braden Willis has been getting love too. Their other tight end that they drafted that year. I don't care which one of them it is. Somebody look like they know what the hell they're doing out there, please. I don't understand how this team could find George Kittle in like the 5th round.
They have Logan Thomas as the tight end, like 6 on the depth chart.
They found George Kittle at the bottom of the draft, yet they can't find a tight end 2 for like every year since then. They haven't really been able to do it. Like, how can both of those things be true at the same time?
We had a bet, right, about Logan Thomas, about how many yards he has this year or how many games he plays.
If we did, I don't remember, but I'm not denying.
Now I'm starting to think he's not even going to make the team because he is buried. He's behind Mason Pline on this depth chart.
Why do you care about the depth chart? The depth chart is meaningless. It doesn't mean anything.
I don't know if that's true. I feel like people just make that up. We just heard a coach yesterday. He was asked I don't remember which coach, so this is going to annoy me. They asked a coach about a player's role, and he said, "I put out the depth chart yesterday. That's still accurate today." And he said, "I put out the depth chart yesterday. You saw it. That's still accurate today." So I feel like people have just like spread this rumor that this is like a fake person in like a random office putting this out. Like, I do think it's coming from the coaches. Why would that coach say, "I put out this depth chart yesterday and it's still accurate"? Why would he say that if he's not the one doing it?
Coaches lie sometimes, Michelle.
But he knew exactly what the depth chart said too.
Yeah, I'm sure they've talked about it.
I don't know. I don't think this random person that you're saying is just, why would this random person not think Logan Thomas was higher on since he's a veteran and he's actually done, like, you would think then it would be the opposite. He'd be put as 2, right? Because he's Logan. He has that name. He wouldn't be put all the way buried behind every other tight end on the roster.
Maybe Kyle Shanahan wants to motivate him a little bit. I don't know.
He's not making the team.
I'm not freaking out because Logan Thomas is
not making the team.
On the first depth chart of the year.
Win this bet.
You don't even know what the bet is.
I'm going to go back and listen.
You can't claim victory for a bet. You don't even know the terms.
You were so excited because Logan Thomas was going to be elite.
See, like, again, you're completely misrepresenting my position. I said he's an actual pass-catching threat as opposed to the 2 stiffs they had on the team last year backing up George Kittle. That's all I said. You're making it seem like I'm putting him in the Hall of Fame.
The 900-year-old tight end who can't stay healthy is not going to make the team.
He's been healthy. What are you talking about? He's been playing
like 2 snaps a game because he can't.
Wait, is he healthy or is he not healthy? He played 16 games last year. He played 14 the year before. In 2021, he was hurt. 2021, he was hurt. He only played 6. But the year before that, 16. The year before that, 16.
He's always hurt.
He plays.
Hurt and sucks.
Man, I swear to God, the Niners will sign somebody. I'll say, hey, this person might be moderately good, might be able to get 5 sacks a year. And you're like, oh, you think he's so great.
Yes, and the guy last year who you thought could have 5 sacks, we don't even remember his name. He's probably not even in the NFL anymore. He had 0 on the season.
Yes, sometimes I get predictions wrong.
You just get very excited about everyone that they signed, and you try to talk yourself into it. And it's like, these guys aren't going to do anything.
That's not true.
I'm just trying to bring you back to reality. That's all.
I did not like the Ray McLeod signing from the second it went down.
He actually was better than I thought he would be.
Oh, God, no. And that's one thing I'm kind of bummed about, too, because I don't think we're going to see anything crazy on the kick returns today or tomorrow, I should say. Most teams seem to kind of be playing it straight.
Nobody's showing anything whatsoever.
Which just goes to show that like no one really knows what to do, because they all have their strategy of like, okay, we think this is it, but we don't want anyone to be able to prepare for it or copy it, so we're gonna hide it. Like week 1, the first second of every game is going to be like must watch TV, because I want to see what everybody does on all the kickoffs.
I know. I was really, really excited to see the kickoffs in the preseason, and then as soon as it started, it's like, oh shoot! Like I guess we should have known that we weren't going to actually get to see anything. And no, so I want to say, Nick, you make me scared for people who are on the internet. This was a fake tweet. It was just from a guy who loves Cordero Patterson. He did the Photoshop. It's like a well-known bit from him. That's what you saw. It was not like on the roster. It's Najee first. He was just joking around, but like you got to read more into the things you see on the internet, please, because that makes me scared. That makes me scared that you fell for that one.
If you're watching, if you're listening, not watching.
Sorry. That's very confusing for people listening.
Yes, that says, Michelle, didn't the Steelers put out a depth chart with Najee not starting and Cordero Patterson starting? Apparently it's a phony thing. See, you got to do your own research, right?
Yeah, that one makes me nervous, Nick.
Mark Pelkey says, Red Zone channel, Rob. I freaking love the Red Zone channel. The Red Zone channel, I have said this, is the second greatest sports invention of my entire life. The yellow first down line is the first, and Red Zone is the second. What? Why are you laughing? Did you think I wouldn't have them ranked? Of course I have them ranked.
I would not have expected that to be that's not what I thought was going to come out of your mouth. The yellow.
Yep.
So you would get rid of Red Zone before the yellow first down marker.
100%. I remember what it was like to watch football games without the yellow first down line. It's so much better when you can see. It adds so much drama, especially on third down. They complete a pass short of the sticks. You know exactly where they have to get to. Like it is, it's number 1 in my lifetime, the yellow first down line.
Red Zone is elite. It's elite. It's amazing. I don't know. I always have I'll have on an actual game, whether it be the Steelers or the 49ers or whatever's like the main game I want to watch, whatever time it's on. And then I also have another TV with the Red Zone on, and both of those have to happen. Like I need both on.
And people are always like, well, if you watch Red Zone, you miss the cut. No, you don't. You miss like nothing. It's unbelievable. It's so good. I can't believe it's still this good after being around for this long. Because usually when things are around for this long, we make them crappy. Like there's still no commercials on it. I'm amazed that there's still no commercials on this thing.
And they don't try to get cute with it. They haven't tried to come up with like bits or anything. They just show the big parts of games, and you love that.
Yeah, just put Scott Hansen, lock him in the studio for like 18 hours. Don't let him pee. And he just takes us through all the games.
What's so great is that like the terrible teams, you don't have to sit through it. Like, because they're never on it. Because they're doing nothing. You're literally missing nothing. If they do something exciting, they'll show it. And that's all you have to see.
Kenny says, shots fired at the glow puck in hockey. Yeah, I do remember that when they made the puck glow in hockey so that it was easier to track. It just didn't work. It was just not the same. It wasn't good. The yellow first down line is the way to go. Did you see that they started to do the Hawkeye tracking system in the preseason now instead of the chain gang? They're doing like the laser technology. Please and thank you. Can we stop with 2 guys and a rope running out onto the field to measure a first down? I mean, God.
But they're going to lose their job. That sucks.
Yeah, I'm not shedding any tears for that. I mean, you had a job. Like, did you shed any tears for the horse drivers when we invented the automobile? No. get with the times. Learn how to use.
That would be the sickest job of all time. You get to be on the sidelines of a football game, and you don't have any other job but to move the stick. So you get to watch the game. Like you're just watching the game, right? And you're always right there in the action. I mean, that is the coolest job of all time, and it's going to be taken away. That kind of stinks.
Someone, Mark tweeted, 7 hours, no commercial starts now.
Oh.
You don't understand the feeling that I get when I hear Scott Hanson say that. And now my son is into it too. So like he comes down. So what I always do is I always put it on before it starts. So you get the countdown and they got the NFL Films music going in the background. And my son is like in front of the TV and he's like, yeah, let's go. And then
is there anything better than Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern time? Is there anything as soon as like, when you know you have a whole day of games. Now, by the time you get to Sunday night, you're kind of like, oh God, I have another game to watch. But it's in the morning, right when it's starting. God, there's nothing better.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh man, it's so good. I freaking love it, man. And Scott Hanson says, especially on the first Sunday, because nobody's team is bad, right? Everybody has hope. Things have not gone off the rails. You're dying for football especially because now you had to get to that crappy week where there's no preseason game before the regular season actually starts. So you had not even preseason football for an extra week. And you're just sitting there and you haven't had real football in so long. And Scott Hanson comes on and he says 7 hours of commercial-free football. It's heaven on earth, man.
I will say I do love living in Central Time and it's an hour earlier. The 12 o'clock is, I think 11 o'clock would probably be perfect, but the 12 o'clock is great. Like I used to live on the East Coast pretty much my entire life until I moved to Houston. But the 1 o'clock, it takes a while to get there. You know, you're just so excited. It takes forever. 12 is good because you can go do a workout in the morning. And by the time like you're back, you're ready to go. And it's 12 o'clock.
I've heard that Mountain Time is the sweet spot for sports watching. Is that is the time zone where like 10 o'clock on the West Coast, I feel like that's little too early. Yeah. So if you get that 11 o'clock is like perfect because you've got time, like you said, to get something done in the morning. And then bam, you come back 11 o'clock, you get your football. And like John says, on the West Coast, you get daylight when it's done too. Like, yeah, it's on the Sunday night games, like when the Niners play in prime time, I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning doing all the work because the game ends so damn late. Whereas if I was Mountain or Pacific time, it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, I do love that also about Central Time is that at least the games end at 11, the night games instead of midnight. Like the midnight's brutal.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, let me see. Dominic Pooney, I mentioned. Cody Schrader, I mentioned. Dee Winters, Jalen Graham, I mentioned. Malik Mustafa, Renardo Green, Robert Beal Jr., Braden Willis, the tight end. I'm not excited to see the backup quarterback situation for the first time in like forever. No. From everything I've heard, Josh Dobbs has been terrible. And Brandon Allen looks like quarterback too. Ugh.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be fun to watch tonight. I do think Josh Dobbs is more of a game type of quarterback. Like he's just so competitive. I think he's better in a game situation and like the way he can just make impromptu plays. He's not good on like the scheduled stuff, which is not good in a Kyle Shanahan system. He doesn't really fit this system at all. So yeah, I think are we gonna see a lot of Tanner? I don't know how to say his last name.
Mordecai.
Yeah.
I sent you the pronunciation guide this week, Michelle. Did I not?
You did, but I didn't look to how to pronounce the quarterback 4, who's probably not going to make the team. I apologize.
Actually, I don't think he's on it.
Okay, there you go. Because they don't think he's going to make the team either.
No, it means they think you should know how to say it just by reading it.
It's a pretty hard name. They had Aiyuk on there and not Tanner Mordecai. Damn.
Yeah, Mordecai. Nick Ellert says, Michelle, do you trust the dog Abby as a source, meaning Pretty Ricky on Twitter? I do not.
I don't know. I want to because it's fun and I want him to be. I think I'll say I trust him more than some of the other randoms out there.
I have soured on Pretty Ricky. Not going to lie. I think I'm not as apt to jump at what he says anymore. We'll see.
Do you think next week when we're doing this show again on Friday that we're going to have an answer about Brandon Aiyuk?
God, we freaking better, man. Like, you have to know one way or the... Even if the 49ers say, like, we don't like what Pittsburgh's offering, just come out and say, like, we're done worrying about this, listening about this. we're moving forward. That's what I said that they should say. We are moving forward. The season is upon us. Like, we don't have time to sit and deal with this anymore. Either get on board or get the hell out of the way, or the train's leaving the station.
Literally, they just have to figure it out. Do something. Either decide you want to pay him and get it done, or move on. And if you don't want to take the Steelers offer, then that's fine. Like, you don't have to. Just say it. Tell Brandon Aiyuk, like, either accept the Browns offer or stay here. Those are your two choices.
And I don't think the Browns or the Steelers, like, they want to be done with it too. They don't want to be, like, they've got their own seasons to worry about. So there's that factor in all
Levin
this.
did make a good point. Maybe the 49ers are trying to find, a third partner here so they can get a wide receiver. I feel like that's just such a headache to have 3 teams involved in a trade. Who knows how long that takes.
Mike Garafolo did report that the 49ers were poking around the league to try and find a veteran wide receiver. I'm just looking on Twitter. I'm seeing one of these accounts. I don't know if it's like real. NFL notifications says the Steelers and Aiyuk have a long-term contract in place. The holdup remains compensation. Yeah, we know. That's not new. The 49ers are currently seeking, according to this at NFL Notify, a second, a mid-round pick, and a wide receiver in the deal. The Steelers don't have a receiver to offer in return, so they want the Steelers first or 2 seconds in return. With that, we know that the 49ers don't like the Steelers offer.
But if all they want is 2 seconds, like, the Steelers should have already been like smashing accepting that. So
yes, I agree with that. You would give up 2 second-round picks for sure.
But also, they're already willing to give up a first, so I don't know why they wouldn't be now. And I will say, if that's what they end up getting, a first-round pick from the Steelers, like, let's say that goes down, I still think that's a huge blunder, because the Steelers were willing to do that during the NFL draft. And I know they never know who's going to fall there, but the Steelers ended up getting a really good, we'll see if he ends up being a good tackle in the NFL, but he was one of the guys I really, really wanted to fall to the 49ers. I was so happy the Steelers took him. Troy Fautanu. Like, they could have gotten him there. They could have gotten a really great right tackle prospect. I need to say prospect because we don't know he's going to be great in the league. But that would have been huge for them. And they still would have had their pick to take Ricky Pearsall, like, if they wanted to. So that seems like a huge blunder if that's what they end up getting, just a first-round pick.
Honest Abe on Twitter says, sources indicate that rumors are circulating within the league suggesting that if Justin Fields performs well in his first preseason game tonight, Omar Khan will make every effort to acquire Brandon Aiyuk. Why wouldn't you?
What does that have to do with anything?
Why would you tie it to Fields' performance? Like, oh, if this quarterback looks good, we'll try and get a really good wide receiver. But if he looks bad, we won't try and get him a really good. Like, what?
And also, it doesn't matter if he looks good, because Kenny Pickett was on fire last preseason. And guess what? It didn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
But also, I have no idea what that has to do with anything.
Let's talk about that. Mr. Rob hypes up every person. You were hyping up Kenny Pickett because of his preseason last year.
Nobody hated Kenny Pickett more than I did, but I fell for his preseason last year. I did. And I almost apologized to him. Kate did apologize to him on, like, her Steelers site. She wrote, like, an apology letter or something. Or I think maybe she almost did. I don't know. I thought I was going to have to eat my words about how bad Kenny Pickett is, but I didn't. He sucked.
Turns out, yeah, your initial indication was correct. So you mentioned earlier that you like Malik Neighbors. Apparently, I didn't see this. I missed the first start of the game. On the first snap, he got by his guy and threw his hand up like, give me the ball. First professional snap ever for Malik. You know what? Baller.
He's going to be so good. He's going to be so good. People take Malik Neighbors in fantasy. He's going to be great.
Ricky Williams. Ricky? Is it you? Ricky Williams on YouTube says, for our team, any prediction for players to break out the first preseason game we're not talking about. Hopefully it's a lineman for me. Yeah, let it be Dominic Pooney, please.
It's hard to break out in a preseason game as a lineman. It's hard to break out ever as a lineman, Like, I feel like the only way they're going to focus in on you and you're going to see anything is if they mess up. It's going to be hard to, like, tell.
Yeah, you're going to need, like, a pancake, right? Or you're going to need, like, some sort of crazy, maybe it's like a screen and he gets out on the run and just mops some poor defensive back, something. Just give me that one little viral moment that I could see in my Twitter feed and I'll be happy.
I will say, so we got another comment. Brandon, are you certain that the Steelers will ever have a good quarterback? Like, we're going too far in the Russell Wilson hate. He's still even got Cortland Sutton 10 receiving touchdowns last year. That dude had no touchdowns throughout his career, like ever, and he got him 10 receiving touchdowns last year. Like, he still throws touchdowns. He threw 26 touchdowns in 15 games, 8 interceptions. We act like this man is garbage. Like, Russell Wilson isn't what he was with Seattle, but he's still a really solid quarterback. He just wasn't worth the $50 million per year. There's a difference between not being worth $50 million per year and being garbage. Like, he's still a good passer. He's still a good quarterback.
He was bad in 2022.
Yes.
He got sacked 55 times in 2022. He wasn't nearly as bad last year, but I think the 2022 Russ is kind of what's sticking with people.
Yeah. I mean, I think he was just stuck in a terrible situation there.
Yeah, I still hope that man loses every damn game he ever plays from now until the time he retires. I will never forgive Russell Wilson for the straight up trauma that he inflicted on me and every other 49ers.
You're going to root against my Steelers and make me sad?
Yeah, 1,000%. I cannot stand him. I have told him to his face I cannot stand him, and I hope he loses every game ever.
Well, that's mean.
Strawberry React says, Stats, what are your thoughts on using Brock as the lead blocker on end around? Someone noted they saw that play at camp. I'm not sure they want Brock blocking on run plays.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, hard pass. No, that is, I mean, he might do that thing where like he's technically in the lead in terms of blockers, but he ain't going to do anything to anybody. And he shouldn't, by the way. No quarterback should. It's just not worth it. You got enough guys that can block on this team. You don't need 13 doing that.
Yeah, and we're talking about if he gets hurt on that, Brandon Aiyuk or Josh Dobbs is coming in. No, right. Not worth it. Not worth it.
Or your boy Taylor Mordecai. Jay Cruz says Russ is the corniest square ever. That's part of it for me too, Michelle. He's so unlikable. He's so phony that, like, how can you even root? You're legitimately rooting for Russell Wilson.
I am.
Or are you just rooting for the Steelers to have competent play at quarterback?
I've always liked Russ. I have. I'm not upset with someone being corny, at least he's not doing terrible things, which a lot of players are doing in this league. Like, I'll take the corniness over him hurting women.
High five. Well, yes, of course. I don't want anybody to hurt anybody else ever. But like, he high fives fans that aren't there at practice. Like, he pretends to high five people that aren't there. That's not just corny behavior. That's psycho behavior.
That's insane. I've never seen that. That's bad. That's weird.
That's the weirdest thing ever. And then what does he say? Yeah. What's his, as Patel asks,
he's been very quiet. He hasn't really, I feel like he's been pretty normal with the Steelers. I feel like he's calmed it down.
What's the line with Broncos? It was go Hawks. Then it was Broncos country. Let's ride. What's his Steelers thing? Does he have one?
I don't think so. I think he's calmed down.
I have noticed that Brock Purdy ends all his interviews with Go Niners, which I hate.
Really?
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Just say goodbye. Like, we don't need a cheer at the end of every interview. I don't know. All right. That's going to do it for this edition of the show. Quick reminder, after the game on Saturday, I will do an instant reaction show. It'll be the first instant reaction show of the year. I'm not even going to have Levin with me, which makes it even better. But I will be here. I'll be reacting to everything. I'll have, my pages of notes as I always do. Super excited about it. Make sure you please join us for that. That's why you have to like and subscribe to the channel so you know every time we go live, which is immediately after all the games. The only 2 times Michelle has ever joined the instant reaction show, she's been drunk as a skunk.
Well, it's after, what was it? It was after the Packers divisional game when they won 13-10 or 6 in that snow game. And then was it after the Super Bowl lot? No, I didn't come out.
Oh, it was after the Lions game, I think.
Yeah, both times it was after huge games.
And Michelle had been celebrating.
No, it was after the Packers game. There I was really, really gone. Because that game was brutal.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So they were both after Packers games.
Oh, apparently that's it. They have to play the Packers for you to join.
Yeah.
All right. It's Friday. What do you got? Kickball tonight?
They got the Steelers preseason game, baby. That's what I'm doing.
You are locked in.
Locked in all the way. That's what I'll be doing.
What if news breaks of an Aiyuk trade during the Pittsburgh game?
That'd be crazy. Oh, I did want to ask you, do you think Aiyuk will be at the game tomorrow?
It's a good question. I think Grant asked Kyle that, and Kyle said they hadn't even thought about it. That would be interesting. Like, is he going to be on the sideline during the game? Or if he's not, like, do they send him home? That's the weird thing, because like technically they're not fining him right now because has back soreness, quote unquote. So like they're not fining him. So they've kind of like played nice. So I would assume that they would do that. But if they do, I mean, they're going to show him on TV constantly. Brandon Aiyuk.
All they're going to be talking about.
Especially like wide receiver drops a pass, Brandon Aiyuk, like it's going to be heavy if he's there.
What are your predictions? Will he be there or not?
I don't know. Yeah, I'll say yes. What about you?
I think yes. Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of that. I'm so glad you asked that question, because that would be, and maybe the Niners are trying to get this thing done because they don't want to.
If he's not there, I think a trade's definitely getting done.
Yeah, that's a fair thing. How about we get it done with Trent Williams? Can we do that?
Literally, that should be so easy. Just give him the extra little bump, promote. Like, oh my God, they're so slow.
That's why I think it's a Jed thing, because like Trent Williams' contract is even easier to come to. Like, it's very easy, and there's no question as to whether or not he deserves it. But I think it's Jed not wanting to shell out the money. Cheapskate Jed.
Making me worried here. He's making me worried.
Yeah. Well, whatever happens, we will be here with you. If Aiyuk gets traded, I'll go live. We'll talk about it. It will be a whole thing. Enjoy your Friday and your weekend. Join us after the game tomorrow, everybody, for the Instant Reaction Show. This has been the Gold Diggers Podcast, sponsored by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Please gamble responsibly.
Bye, y'all.